Tell me what got gun on all that dirt. Yeah.
Yo, if I were podcasting, it would be insane. Knowledge flowing like the sweetest rain. Professor Bear on the mic, spreading wisdom wide. A bear's thoughts, that's my pride, I can't hide.
With the voices in your ear, changing the game.
If I rule podcasting, every thought we'd ignite. In a world of chatter, we'll just walk in the fight. With Professor Bear, we're climbing to new heights. A Bear's Thoughts podcast, shining bright in the night. Topics from the heart, never sounding the same. Got laughs and debates, never dull or bland. From culture to tech, take you by the hand. Join the ride with us, feel the vibe expand. With every episode, we shine that beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
So tune in, don't miss what we got to share. If I rule podcasting, I spread the love everywhere.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me today. I am Professor Bear, and this is a Bear's Thought. And guys, girls, 2026 has already been just an amazing year with having all these different guests to celebrate them on a Wrestling Podcasters Appreciation Month. I have just been having some wonderful conversations. This particular gentleman, in my start in doing podcasts, he was so gracious enough to let me on his show to promote the WSN. And as I found out, there are a lot of podcasters out there that just have a good heart and love to promote wrestling. And I always thought to myself, I have to give back to the people who helped me do what I do now and getting the word out of WSN. This is his second appearance on my show. This is Guapo from Not Your Average Wrestling. I'm gonna get it. Not Your Average Wrestling Podcast.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. And I appreciate you having me on. And I've just got to throw it out there. You may have the coolest intro in the podcast game right now. That was cool.
I appreciate it. And the funny part about it is, so I started last Friday, 2 Fridays ago with this, and the first couple of episodes was my regular theme, and afterwards, I'm a nocturnal creature, so my best thoughts and ideas come at night, and I'm wiped out. I'm just like I'm going to bed, but I got to thinking, man, I need something different to separate these from my regular one. I'm like, duh, just change your entrance. I was like, okay. Then I, at the time, was listening to an old hip-hop song, If I Could Rule the World by Curtis Blow. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there listening, half thinking, half sleep. And I thought, that would be a good song if I rule podcasting. And bam, just if it keeps getting the Love, I'm gonna put it out as a single. I am.
Well, I'll be the first one to put it on my Spotify. That was cool.
I appreciate it. So let me start with this. Guys, girls, if you see that QR code, if you have watched any of my shows, you know that QR code will lead you to my guest podcast. Please, please, please check it out. They are fantastic. And again, I just don't say that because they're a guest on my show. It's because it's what I truly believe. If I didn't, I would not do it. So give them a shout out, check their stuff out, and I promise you, you will probably be like me and watch the podcast.
Well, that's greatly appreciated, man. I thank you for that.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So, as I always love to start off with this question, what got you into wrestling?
I've been watching wrestling since I was about 3. Actually, kind of remembering what I was watching since I was 5. I used to sit down with my grandfather. He would watch world class championship wrestling, and I cheered for the good guys, and I didn't know any better as to what was going on. So when somebody got hurt, I was like, "Oh no, they're hurt." And through the years, I watched more and more until I had my own kids, and my boys would sit down and watch wrestling with me through like the Attitude Era and beyond that. And it's just, wrestling's always been a part of my life.
Definitely understand that. So, being a wrestling fan, how did you translate from just being a wrestling fan to let me do podcasting?
Well, when I started the podcast, it was after both of my boys were grown and were moving out of the house. And it started as a way for us to get together once a week and talk about wrestling. We decided we would jump when we started out, it was Sunday nights. We'd jump on for an hour and just talk about our favorite moments from Raw or top 5 PLEs, just little things like that, and just talk about wrestling. And as it went on, it became a weekly review of Raw and SmackDown. And then we had some local guests that wanted to come on that wrestle in local promotions. And it's just kind of gotten bigger from there.
That is an amazing thing. And I think what I love about that more than anything, it's the family dynamic with it. I remember sitting with my father and watching wrestling, or me and my brother, he's my oldest brother, he's 10 years older than me. So when he moved out and he would go somewhere, he would always come back home and he'll let me come hang out with him where he lived. And he was always big into wrestling, got to meet wrestlers. So it's like, wow, I always thought of him as a superstar, but him hanging out with wrestlers, it blew my mind. So with podcasting in particular, what is it that makes your podcast different than other podcasts?
Well, part of it is like you were talking about, the family dynamic of it, getting to get on here with my sons. Granted, they don't get to be on as often as they'd like to anymore because, life. But the family dynamic of it, and kind of an extended family dynamic with the people that are always in my chat, getting the opportunity to talk with them. And that, if I had to say that one thing that my podcast does have, it's that family feel.
Definitely love that. Definitely. So another aspect of your podcast that really sticks out to me is that you partner with your local indie wrestling promotion. Let's talk about that promotion, if you will.
Well, I associate with two different promotions here in West Texas, Buzzsaw Championship Wrestling out of Levelland and Squared Circle Pro Wrestling in Lubbock. And honestly, the way it started out was we just got invited to a show and talked to the promoter, and he liked what we were doing. So he asked us as a podcast to come maybe commentate a little bit. And so our podcast got associated with Buzzsaw Championship Wrestling, and we've just kind of kept that. And it's afforded me opportunities to have some of our local indie guys come on the podcast and promote their matches, promote what they have going on, and kind of give a platform for people to get to know them and how they got into wrestling and where they see themselves going.
With that being said, do you feel like it's a part of your job to help the younger wrestlers get established and give them a means of promoting themselves and building themselves up with getting the chance to do advertisement and plug in their gimmick and different things like that?
I feel like it's something that every young wrestler should do. Get yourself out there online, get the opportunity to talk to people, to put that character out there. And I've been lucky enough that my podcast has afforded that opportunity. And if I can help, I definitely want to, because I love this. Like, wrestling is a part of my life. So if I can help somebody else realize a dream by coming on my podcast, and getting their name out there to people, I'm here to help as much as I can.
So what was your first thought when they reached out to you and said, hey, we're loving what you're doing, come to the show? What was your first thought?
Honestly, my first thought was, we're not geared for this. But after talking to the boys, we decided, you know what? If we're not geared for it, we'll get geared for it. Let's check it out.
I remember the first time that I got recognized by a wrestler as a podcaster, and it literally blew my mind. Me and the wrestler and his girlfriend were just standing there talking, and they went all fanboy on me. And I'm standing there like, what in the hell is happening? And I even told them, I said, now you realize that we in the wrong spot. I should be fanboying for y'all, not this way. What, when you first had that initial wrestler come up and talk to you and tell you they follow you, what was going through your head?
I'll never forget it. It's around here, it's fairly big name, Justin Taylor, the living proof, Justin Taylor. I went to go tell him he had a great match, and he's like, saw the podcast last Thursday. Good job on that. And that blew my mind. Like, I had no idea that he had even seen the podcast. Of course, we were plugging the show he was on, so I guess maybe that's how it came to him. But yeah, it completely blew my mind that he even mentioned my podcast.
When you are when you're setting up to do your podcast and everything, what's something that helps you get ready for the podcast? Like, let's just say, and I know you definitely understand this, you're having one of those bad days and it's not going the way you want to and your mind's not right. What do you have to do, if anything, to get yourself jazzed up for an interview?
Well, I generally do, anytime we're going to do an interview, I do my homework and get my notes together, and just kind of going through the notes and going through what I'm going to say kind of gets that energy building. So when it comes time and our intro hits, I'm ready. I'm ready to talk.
So, who is and this could be local or big or however you see it. Who so far is your biggest interview to date?
To date, my biggest interview happened last year, and I was actually able to get an hour on camera with Buff Bagwell.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Now it was crazy.
So I've heard Buff is really down to earth now. That
Mhm.
what his persona used to be is nothing like the man he is now.
I will say, in talking to Buff Bagwell, it's like we've been friends for years. Like it was that easy to talk to him.
That is cool. If with Buff was was Buff open to talk about any and everything, or was he a little reserved, considering everything Buff has been through in his life? Do you feel like it was a an interview that without censorship, so to speak?
I feel like it was. I try to, anytime I get somebody on, to give them an idea of what I have as far as questions. And was there anything you'd like to add? Is there anything you'd like me to not talk about? And there wasn't anything on the not talk about list for Buff. He's very open about everything that's happened in his career, and hoping that some of the mistakes he made personally will help somebody that's out there today understand this is how this works, and this is how you can keep going with the way you're going without having problems. So he comes across as somebody that's here to teach the next generation of professional wrestling.
I've heard I've heard the same about Lex Luger, that
Mhm.
he's very open and honest about everything, and he's oh well, both of them actually don't make any excuse of somebody or I got drawn down this road. They just take they're responsible for their own actions and look for no sympathy from anyone.
It did come across that way talking to Buff. Yes, I'd love the chance to talk to Lex. There's all sorts of things, all sorts of knowledge I could gain from him. But I too have heard the same thing about Lex. Is he's an open book.
When you when you do interviews with local talent, do you rather have them be in character or be themselves? What is your personal preference?
Depending on who it is, I prefer to talk to the real person. But if they've got a gimmick that they're trying to get over, I'm perfectly fine with talking to their character. I always ask beforehand, because I don't want somebody that's trying to put a character out and then I'm talking to them on a shoot level.
Right. Do you find it easy to reach out to people to see if they do interview? Like, I'm gonna speak on myself. I know sometimes that I've reached out to people and I've gotten yes, I'm gonna do it, and then getting close, never hear from them.
Yeah, I've run into that quite often. For the most part, though, it's the interviews I do get is more, hey, I enjoyed the show. You did a great job. I have a podcast. If you'd like to come on, talk about your career, it's just kind of that personal interaction. But I do get that sometimes where it's like, yeah, man, I'd love to do that, and I don't ever hear from them again.
Yeah. I the I think the quick lesson that I had to learn is not to take it personal.
Absolutely.
Oh, oh my God. I've had so many people uh, do things to me and I thought to myself, oh, if I ever catch up with you. But then I had to realize I think, and this is something that I think us as wrestling fans need to be more aware of, that they're only human. They have lives, they have situations, and I couldn't imagine being in their shoes where I'm just trying to enjoy my day, maybe with my family, and then for a bunch of people always wants to talk, get interview, get autographs. I couldn't imagine that.
I couldn't either. And I've always preached to my boys, and I've said it a few times on the podcast. Don't be that guy. My example of it is my wife and I were coming back from Austin, and while we are in the airport, we saw Kofi Kingston come in, and he had his family with him. And as much as I wanted to go over there and be like, Kofi, what's up, man? He's with his family. And knowing the schedule that WWE keeps, I don't want to interrupt a man with the limited time he's already got with his family.
Very true. Very true. So, what was the biggest thing with working with the two podcast companies that you're working with? What is the biggest thing so far that's happened to you where you felt like I've made it? It can't get any better than this.
I got the opportunity through BCW. I got offered a one night, what started out as a one night thing, to be the interim general manager for a show. And so I got to come out, and there was music playing. I got to come through the curtain, which was already, checking boxes on my bucket list. I got to get in the ring on a microphone and talk. And from that, I'm actually now the full-time general manager of BCW. I've gotten the opportunity to work with a couple of different people in there. I took a chop from a gentleman by the name of Big Sid, part of a group called the Guerrilla Militia. And when so many people come to me with the F word, wrestling is fake. I had a handprint right here on my chest for 4 days. And I have pictures of it. And anybody that uses the F word with me, I show them those pictures because it is not fake at all.
One of the biggest things that, and we were talking about this off camera about my year in 2025, getting to get in the ring, and it was a cage match, and it was all cage matches rather. And we're doing the angle and talking, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I would love someone to hit me so I could hit them back. I really wanted to do that, but I had to let them know. I'm like, look, I'm telling you now, I can't take any bumps. I have a bad back, and I'm just gonna let y'all know, let's just not do any physical, because I'm gonna take it personal if you hit me and it hurts or I go down. I'm gonna we go into a street fight right there.
I've taken a couple of bumps, but I've got to say the two or three bumps that I've taken, the person I was working with was real cool, walked me through it. This is how we're going to do it. This is what you need to do. And when I say this, then this is what you do. And didn't hurt in the least. Like they worked it out to where I was a little sore from the bump, but
right.
I was in no kind of danger. Being somebody that's not professionally trained to wrestle, I was in no kind of danger with the people I was working
with. My partner, he and the other co-owner, when they first started partnering with the company, the only thing they were going to do, get in the ring, talk, and leave. Well, the owner came up with an idea that they didn't realize was going to happen. He came out with his guys and kicked them out the ring. And he decided he was gonna punch my my co-host, and when he said he hit him, he let him have it. He let him have it good enough where you thought he was gonna be out, but so soft that he afterwards, my co-host was telling me, he's like, man, I was so ready to go. He's like, it hit me, but it didn't hurt. It just sounded off. And it was, again, amazing on how these guys and girls know how to take care of anyone in the ring. It's so amazing. And they can sell it so well that if you're looking on, you can't tell a difference.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. The skill that it takes to do what these wrestlers do, from independent level all the way up to TV, is just crazy. Like, we had a match with BCW just this past Saturday, where after the match, everybody was asking me if one of the wrestlers was okay because he took, a headshot into the ring post, and it looked real enough and he sold it afterwards so well that people were concerned that he was hurt.
It's always good when they can sell it that well, but it's also scary because you're just like, that couldn't have went right. There's no way that went right.
Oh, I had to ask him when he came back through the curtain, are you okay?
So, what would be your Mount Rushmore, so to speak, in interviewing? If you could interview anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I'm a big proponent of the behind the scenes. So I think if I could sit down with anyone and just talk openly, probably be Paul Heyman. That man is a wealth of knowledge. And just to hear some of the stories about bringing up ECW, going from the Dangerous Alliance to having ECW, to what he does with the WWE, because he, of course, everybody sees him on TV, but he does so much more than that.
Definitely.
Him, or maybe Jim Cornette. That'd be a fun one.
I've been blessed to have a couple of conversations with Jim Cornette in my lifetime.
That's awesome. I'm jealous.
The second time I got to talk to Jim was at an NWA fanfare, and Jim just so happened he was in Knoxville, Tennessee, the night before, and that's where I live. He was here at a local show, so I saw him, got quick talk to him. But at the fan fest, the way they had it, they had wrestlers sitting on stage with the tables so everybody could come up, get their autographs, and move down. Mm-hmm. Just so happened, Jim and the Midnight Express were the last people at the tables. Jim was first. Dennis was second, and Bobby was third. Went through Jim, spoke, talked to Dennis, then I spoke to Bobby. And I think I said something like this to Bobby, like, man, I really enjoy y'all work. Y'all just made me really hate y'all, but I understood how great an athlete you are. And he was like, well, thank you. I appreciate it. So I walked away from him, took about 3 steps, and I spun around like, holy shit, you talk? Jim Cornette was drinking a Coke and spit it out everywhere. So Bobby gave me this death stare that I would not forget. So the next day, me and my buddies we were looking for an ATM to get some cash. We're walking around. And I heard, oh man, I've been looking for you. And I spun around and it's Bobby.
Oh,
And Bobby, he had that face on him again. And this time he looked legitimately like he was going to kill me. And I'm standing there in my head. I'm like, is this real? Is he really pissed? But and his body language and everything told me he was about to kick my ass. It was no question about it. And I'm standing there, I'm thinking, I'm like, oh God, how can I get out of this? And I'm looking at my buddy and I'm thinking, if he starts beating me up, you better jump in. Bobby came to me and he grabbed me and gave me one of the biggest hugs and started laughing. Oh my God, I said, you are so wrong. You had me damn near mess up my pants being scared. So
that's awesome.
So later on, a couple of years later, they had a global force wrestling show in Sevierville, Tennessee at a baseball stadium. And me and my ex-wife got a chance to go. And I was walking around, I think getting us some refreshments or something. And I see Jim Cornette. So of course I got to talk to him again. I walked up and hey, Mr. Cornette, man, I know you're not gonna remember this. We met some years ago, and I'm like, you meet thousands of fans, so I know you won't remember me. And he's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, it ain't no need to blow smoke up my butt. I'm just glad me and you talking. He said, no, I remember you. I remember you specifically. And I just kind of tilt my head at him, and he told me the story. And oh my God, we both started falling out laughing. He said, okay, this is the deal. Every 10 years, we're going to get together and tell this story.
I love it. I love it.
So it goes to show that some wrestlers are just sweet people and funny and really understand that it is the fans that help make them.
I think the best example of that I saw was on a video. Of course, you've got Solo Sikoa, big bad Solo Sikoa. He's on an airplane, and this lady's like trying to put her luggage up, and he stands up and asks. He doesn't just grab it. He's like, "May I help you?" And puts it up for her and helps her to her seat, and then sits back down. Because they are, when all the cameras are off, they're people, and most of them good people.
Yes. I seen that video too. I thought to myself, he probably did that without any hesitation, not wanting anyone to record him. He was just being who his parents taught him to be.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's so refreshing that you get to see that side of the wrestlers at times. Now the fans that really irk me are the fans that do not give wrestlers their space, always trying to do something or take wrestling to wrong levels.
Mm-hmm.
When you start basically stalking wrestlers, you really need help. I mean,
100%. I don't understand people that do that. Like, it's something my cousin and I were actually talking about the other day, where you take somebody like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I grew up, I watched Stone Cold Steve Austin. My kids grew up watching Stone Cold Steve Austin. And a lot of times people get that feeling like, well, I know him, this is how he acts. I know who he is, so I can talk to him any kind of way. But you can't. You don't know that person that way.
Exactly. And again, it's I a lot of times I just think people forget that they're just human,
Mm-hmm.
just that human element, and it is amazing to me how um, people forget that. So, if we were meeting for the first time, and I told you I wanted to get into podcasting, what would be your advice to me?
My first bit of advice would be to make sure you're podcasting about something you love, because there's a lot of work that goes into podcasting, a lot of work that the people that are watching your podcast don't see. So it's got to be a labor of love, and don't get discouraged because the views don't come right away. It takes some time. So don't get discouraged. Just keep at it. And I see a lot of podcasts where they start out one way and they're like, oh, well, this podcast is popular, so I'm going to do what they do. And it never picks up the same kind of traction. So be you, do what you love, and just keep plugging at it, and the views will come.
When you do you find yourself, when you watch other podcasters, do you find yourself looking at their shows differently versus just watching it to enjoy? Do you start looking at little things that maybe people who don't do podcasting wouldn't pay attention to?
I'd like to say that I don't, but I do. I try to stop myself when I notice I'm doing it, because I do try to watch podcasts just for the enjoyment of watching the podcast, seeing somebody else doing it. And there's a lot of great ones out there. But yeah, from time to time, I'm like, what's their camera setup? Like, what program are they using?
Yeah.
How'd they get that sound?
Man, I wonder. Wow, that is great. Oh man, now I have to find out what they did to do that. Yeah.
So yeah, I do find myself doing that from time to time.
Since you are more into the business of wrestling, what has been something that you found out that broke the little kid heart in you?
I'd have to, and I'm not going to say any names in it, of course.
Right.
It would have to be listening to somebody that I've watched wrestle before and was really behind. Talk about, all right, what's my match? What's the finish? All right, now I'm not going 20 minutes, 10 minutes tops, and this is how we finish it. I'm like, what? and backstage, I mean, that's some of the things you hear. But
right.
I think that's the one that got me the worst, is somebody I watched have great matches in here. No, 10 minutes tops, and this is the finish.
Have you again, being in the business, have you heard a wrestler say something and you really wanted to correct them, but you felt like, I think it'd be disrespectful because I am not in the business to correct them?
All the time. I'll hear him say, well, this is the move, we're going to do this, and I'm going to get in this move, then you get this move, then I'll get this move. And I'm like, you don't have to get everything in. You can tell a story without doing 17 backflips. But I don't say anything.
Have you found yourself, because you've gotten this great opportunity, even more appreciative of what wrestling is in the whole setting?
It's actually changed my view of what wrestling is. Initially, before I got the opportunity that I've gotten, my view on wrestling was, this is a cool way to tell a story. And it's like physical theater, and it's really cool. But since I've gotten this opportunity, I've realized that wrestling is about moments. You can do all the cool moves in the world you want to, but nobody's going to remember that move. They're going to remember that moment. An example, Jeff Hardy and The Undertaker. Jeff Hardy did 1,700 kinds of flips and flops and everything. But the part that people remember is at the end of that match when Jeff Hardy stood up and went like this, even though he couldn't hardly stand up, and Taker raised his hand. That's the moment that people remember. So I've come to realize that wrestling's about the moments.
It is so funny that you said it like that, because as I'm sitting here listening to you, I go back in my mind and think about so many moments that drove me as a kid and as an adult. And it's like, I still can recall the day I saw Dusty Rhodes get jumped in the parking lot and the Horseman broke his hand. It was, like you said, a moment that I will never forget.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the moment when Hulk Hogan and The Rock stood at WrestleMania and did the head turn.
Yep.
That was a moment that I won't forget. Just things like that. And I'm a somewhat of a historian. I know my history, but it's like you said, it's the moments that make you feel like this is why I'm a fan. This is why I love it. This is why I respect the people who do this, because they left a lasting impression on me that I hope every other fan has a moment like this for themselves. And that's what carries us to being wrestling fans.
And with the opportunity I've been given to be a GM, that's my whole thing, is trying to create moments that, if there's one fan that walks away going, I'm going to remember that. That's what it's all about. I've got a moment that's stuck on me since I was 8 years old, and it's when Earthquake flattened Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan had to be stretchered out, and 8-year-old me sent him a get well soon card. But that's a moment that I'm going to remember. Nobody remembers what the first few moves were whenever Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels were in the ring, but they'll always remember, I'm sorry, I love you.
Yes. So, who is your all-time favorite wrestler and why?
Oh, Undertaker, 100%. The fact that he was able to take this character and evolve through the 30 years he was wrestling, and always in kayfabe, always didn't break it for anybody. That's the epitome of wrestling for me. And I mean, the character's cool too. So,
and he was the last of not breaking character.
Mm-hmm. He was the last one.
And I think sometimes when, and I'm probably going to catch some heat for saying this, but there are times now I wish Mark would go back to the Undertaker and shut the hell up. I love and respect Mark. I do. But some of his things that have came out of his mouth, man, I thought, man, just go back to the Undertaker.
Just go back to being the Undertaker.
just be the Undertaker. And funny enough, I am that rare person. When I see him, he is not, of course he's a phenom.
Yeah.
But I don't see him as the phenom. I see him as Mean Mark Callis. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is because I remember when he took on Lex Luger and Paul Lee Dangerously was his manager for the U.S. title. But he had the heart punch. I remember him walking on the rope. It was just something about him then that stood out to me. Then he did the Undertaker, and it was like, okay, I get it. I get it. It was a click for me. And also another thing of showing no matter what you are in one company, you can reinvent yourself and sky's the limit.
Oh, absolutely. You've seen it with Cody. You've seen it with Drew. Most recently, Matt Cardona.
Yeah. And Matt Cardona for me is the number one person who took advantage of him. He gambled on himself, and if Matt never went back to the WWE, he was going to be comfortable and rich because he knew how to market himself.
Mm-hmm.
He got, as I when I get to talk to certain younger wrestlers, I always say you are a business unto yourself. You have to look out for you and learn how to build you.
Self-promotion. You've got to understand the concept of self-promotion.
It is an amazing thing, and I'm big in, if you don't go back and look at some of these older wrestlers. They will show you how to do it, how to be able to become the you just amped up. And most times when you can get that, you go somewhere. And that's
Absolutely. You have to be believable.
yes.
I think some of the best wrestlers out there, well, take Stone Cold, for instance. That's an amped up version of who he actually is. And so there's some realism there. There's some believability there. And it's easier to get behind that character because that's who he is. I think that's why people took more to the American Badass version of The Undertaker than they did to the Dead Man, because that's closer to who Mark actually is.
Yes, definitely. And he is amazing that no matter what iteration of the Undertaker, you knew you were going to get 1,000% from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that with his ability and old school training and coming up through the end of the territory days really helped him season who he was.
I get the opportunity to work with a school here in Lubbock Pro Wrestling 101. And it's crazy because you'll hear some of the guys talk and you can tell the old schoolers from the not so old schoolers and the trainers, because the newer trainers say the first thing you have to remember is always get in the ring and make sure you're taking care of each other. And the old school guys said the first rule of wrestling is wherever you're going, even if you're just going to watch a show, always take your gear. And I feel like that's just as important as take care of the person you're in the ring with, because that's how you create opportunities for yourself. Oh, we had somebody not show up. Well, I got gear in the car. So some of that old school mentality it's important to be out there. And I think that, like you're saying, Mark benefited from having that coming out of the end of the territories.
Yeah, definitely. And I am happy and that there are still veterans out there that still teach these younger guys and girls the old school philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you can mix both in a good way. Because again, yes, you put your well-being in the hands of another person. So you definitely want to take care of them. But you have to be prepared. and if you don't have your gear, you're not prepared.
Right.
So definitely. So with that being said, and before we leave, I have been doing this since I've been doing the special, and I am a person that truly believes in people need to get their flowers when they can smell them and can be proud of them. You gave me a chance when you knew me from no one, and you were very sweet, very nice. I had a great time on your show. You just treated me like we were old friends. And I always remembered that and I always appreciate that. And I want to give you back your flowers for not only for what you've done for me, but what you do for wrestling fans, for everyone you work with. I am so thankful that there are people like yourself that I can call associates, because you give wrestling, where wrestling has those black eyes, you make it very knowledgeable, and you just are a stand-up person. And that's why I think your podcast is an amazing thing. And I just want to say thank you. And I appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, thank you. It's very humbling. I appreciate that. And of course, you're welcome on the podcast anytime. You know that. I look at people like you, for instance. You know, I'm in the presence of a Hall of Famer right now. Let's just throw that out there. But I look at people like you who love the business. You love professional wrestling. And you make it so easy for other people who love professional wrestling to join in and listen and have a platform that they can say, oh, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and I think this, and feel comfortable doing so. And I appreciate that about you, that not only do you do that for fans, but for, you know, podcasters like myself. This whole concept of a podcast appreciation month is awesome, and you deserve all the flowers on that, because we are a community, and we're a community that loves wrestling, and the chance to get together about that is just, it's really, really cool. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So do you want to give a quick shout outs? Of course, plug your podcast, plug your promotions. This is your time, my friend.
Well, again, I appreciate you having me on. Feel free to come check us out anytime. We are the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. You can find us on pretty much all platforms. You can find a link to all of our socials at our website, notyouraverage.com. We have a Discord where we do watch-alongs. Our podcast is every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central. And since you've allowed me the opportunity to come on here, I'll break a little news for you. At the end of this month, after doing a little talking and getting it together, I will be having Ken Anderson, Mr. Anderson, on the podcast. So I invite everybody to come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you have the opportunity to get out and check out professional wrestling, do it. Whether it's WWE, AEW, an indie promotion, go check it out, because I say it all the time on my podcast. It's my drug. Like, the storylines, the characters, you'll find yourself getting lost in it. BCW Pro Wrestling here in Levelland, we have shows. They'll be out on YouTube. Just look for BCW Texas. I do want to give a quick shout out to the promoter from BCW. His name's Mike Caldwell. We do every show we do for a cause. And this month our show was a cause that's very dear to me. I'm the husband of a teacher. So every now and then I have to hear the stories about kids, it's 20 degrees outside with 30-mile-an-hour wind and they don't have a jacket on.
Mm.
So our show was called Clash for Coats. And, we had drawings all through the show. If you bring a coat, that was 3 raffle tickets for things we were giving away. We came up with 75 coats that we're distributing to local schools so the counselors can hand them out if need be. And the community around here is awesome for that.
That is so amazing, and I'm blown away. I'm blown away, but not blown away, because one thing I definitely know about wrestling fans is that we get up for causes and we try to make sure that our community is well taken care of.
Absolutely. There's no fan like a wrestling fan.
Yes, definitely. And it's funny because I generally end my shows with saying go support your local indie, but you know what? I don't have to, because you said it perfectly.
I end my show the same way. Great minds, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, guys and girls, thank you so much for joining me around the campfire for another tremendous wrestling story and learning about us podcasters, that we are just super fans that had I would say, the luck and drive into telling our story, getting to tell our stories, and to have some amazing guests. So with that being said, I am Professor Burr. This has been a Burr's Thoughts, and thank you. And we'll catch you around the campfire really, really soon. Y'all take care.